It's still banger season in 2023. Welcome back to the channel, you fucking fairy. I've been traveling around to some wrestling shows over the last few weeks, but we're back on the grind. The other night, a wrestler reached out to me and told me about a match he had with Necro Butcher back in the day. He told me some details of the match, and I was like, dude, I have to see this. The match is Necro Butcher versus Vinny, Rattlocke, and Dawg in a Fans Bring the Weapons match from the Carnival Extreme Wrestling debut show on February 21st of 2004 at the German Park Building in Greenwood, Indiana. This is the flyer for the show. Necro Butcher was actually wrestling in the main event against Corporal Robinson. As you can see on the flyer, Carnival Extreme Wrestling advertised themselves as by Juggalos for Juggalos. At this point in his career, Necro was fucking killing it. He had already had his sick-ass match with Pondo where he almost lost his arm, link to that match in the description. Who could forget his classic VCR incident with Toby Klein at King of the Deathmatch 2003, link to that in the description as well. The match starts out with Vinny Rattlocke making his way to the ring as the tape skips. Oh fuck yeah, you could tell by the tape skipping that this is some rare shit. Tape starts to clear up and we get a shot of Vinny making his way around the ring giving out high fives. Vinny points at a fan and says something to him and then turns around and gives out some more high fives as he makes his way to the other side of the ring. As Vinny gives out high fives on the other side of the ring, we see Dawg get in the ring. Climbs into the ring and stands up to his feet as we hear Necro's music come over the speakers. Necro comes out to Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult, and we see Dawg pick up a chair in the ring. We see Vinny Rattlocke roll underneath the bottom rope into the ring, and he stands up and both men wait on Necro Butcher. We heard a few loud bangs, and then we see a 30-year-old Necro Butcher climb into the ring with a chair and throw it at Dawg. Necro's rocking a cut-up Choose Death shirt, and he runs up and starts kicking both men out of the ring. You don't hear a bell, but the match officially starts as the Van Zants beat down on Vinny on the outside of the ring, and Necro looks for a weapon. He picks up a coal shovel in the corner and pretends to use it, and then walks up and nails Vinny in the back. Necro walks into the corner and pretends to shovel some more coal. While he was doing that, Vinny flipped over onto his back and Necro nails him in the stomach now. He walks back into the corner looking for more weapons. He picks up a leg brace and stands there and tries to put his leg in it. As he plays with the brace, the Van Zants continue the beatdown on the outside of the ring and they throw Dawg back in and Necro nails him with the brace. Necro goes into the corner and picks up a baseball bat. The fans are like, oh fuck yeah, Necro walks around swinging it and lines up Dawg. Bro. I slowed it down and zoomed in, you could see Necro crack him in the back of the head. Necro stands there in the ring and starts walking around getting hyped up. As he runs around the ring, he notices Dawg still in the ring, so he goes into the corner and picks up a dartboard and walks up and throws it at him. I slowed it down and zoomed in, and you see the dartboard bounce off of Dawg and go into the crowd. Dawg falls outside the ring, and Vinny Rattlocke rolls back in and starts beating down on Necro, but Necro takes the bat and gives him a low blow and fucking cracks him in the spine. Dude, no fucking way. I slowed it down and zoomed in, you could hear how fucking hard he hit him. He immediately flops onto his back, and Necro starts hitting him in the stomach. Some dweeb stands up and starts marking out and blocks the camera. We've got to see that again, though. Bro, he was beating the living fuck out of him with the bat, and he stands there holding it for the crowd. He puts the bat down and walks up and picks the coal shovel back up. He exits the ring with the shovel and starts walking around on the outside looking for his opponent. He goes into the crowd and finds Dawg standing there and walks up and hits him in the stomach with the shovel. In case you couldn't see it, when Necro nailed him with the bat, he split his fucking head open and Dawg's bleeding like crazy. Necro starts making his way through the fans' chairs and walks back up to Vinny. He goes to work on him with the shovel, but Vinny counters and starts setting up for a suplex. He picks Necro up, but it gets blocked by a fan kinda, and he drops him on the floor. Some fans stand up and start moving out of the way, and we get a shot of both men laying there. As Necro rolls around on the floor in pain, we see Vinny starting to make his way to his feet. He stands up and he picks up the coal shovel and rocks Necro in the back. Necro sits up and we see him tap his head telling him hit me in the face, and Vinny fucking cracks him. Jesus Christ. The crowd is loving it and Vinny chucks the shovel into the ring but then gets super kicked by Troy Van Zant. Troy retreats back into the crowd, leaving Vinny laying there. Troy's brother Tom Van Zant walks up and starts looking at Necro and then starts kicking Vinny. Tom walks up and starts standing on Vinny's neck, choking him, and as he does that, we see Necro take his shoe off. Necro walks up holding his shoe up for the crowd and stands Vinny back up to his feet and nails him in the face. Vinny falls onto the floor and Necro walks up and grabs him by the head and starts walking around the ring with him. He grabs him and gives him another shot to the face for that side of the crowd. Vinny falls on the floor again and Necro grabs him by the hair and stands him back up to his feet. Men start walking back towards the camera and Necro acknowledges it and whacks him in the face. He grabs Vinny by the hair and starts walking him over to the opposite side. He shows the crowd the shoe and gives him one last hit to the face. Necro takes a seat on the apron and tries to put his shoe back on. Tom Van Zant walks up and says something to him, so he hands him his shoe. Necro starts walking around the ring and grabs onto a wooden block. He grabs Vinny and lays him down on his back and stands over him and hits him in the nuts with the wooden block. He starts walking on the outside of the ring and we see Tom Van Zant offer him his shoe back. Necro's like, meh, fuck it, and walks back up to Vinny. Stands him back up to his feet and chucks him into the ring. Necro picks up a classic steel chair and holds it up for the crowd for a second and then climbs in the ring. Smashes the chair into the mat a few times and then destroys Vinny. Necro stands over Vinny and hooks the leg for the pin and gets a 3 count, and that's a wrap on this match, guys. This might have just seemed like your average squash match, but it was way more than that. When Necro hit him in the back with the bat, he actually chipped 2 of his vertebrae. After he cracked him in the back, Vinny flops onto the mat, and when Necro started hitting him in the stomach and chest, he actually broke some of his ribs and broke his arm. And coming straight from Vinny, and in my opinion, this was not Necro Butcher's fault at all. Both men thought that it was like some kind of prop bat because of how light it was, and it was covered in duct tape. The bat was also tampered with, more on that in a second. So I asked myself if this was a taking liberties, but it's not because Necro had no idea that it was a real bat. Like I said in the beginning, the main event of this show was supposed to be Corporal Robinson versus Necro Butcher. They ended up changing it to a 6-man tag with Corp, Too Tough Tony, and Toxin versus the Van Zants and Necro Butcher. Corp, Tony, and Toxin ended up going over. After Vinny sent me this incident, I was like, dude, I have to talk to you about this. I did a Zoom call with him the other night and we chopped it up for a while. He's a great fucking dude. I asked him how this match came about and we talked about his first match with Necro Butcher in IPW. After that, we break down the full handicap match and talk about his injuries. And last, he elaborated on why we need to support deathmatch wrestlers. So speaking of death matches, bro, this match with Necro, dude. How did this come about?
Well, it came about because me and Necro had just done a couple, I think, months prior, the year before, because this was in February. This match that we're going to discuss was in February of 2004 for a group called Carnival Extreme Wrestling. It was basically a couple juggalos that had some money. So, hey, let's run a show. And it was a cluster. But right before that, I knew the guy because he just lived a couple miles down from me, and he started asking me for wrestling tapes. I was like, yeah, sure. And so and he was like, well, what about the stuff for your guys' promotion? So I was bringing him tapes from IPW, from NEW, and all these other places, and I'm asking why. He's like, well, you know, I got a connection to a guy up in Michigan, and he wants to fund a juggalo hardcore wrestling promotion down here. And I was like, and he knows who you are. He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And so he was like, well, do you want a match? And the whole time he's telling me, I want to give you a match. I want to give you a match. Who do you want? Who do you want? And I was like, well, I said, if I could have anybody, I mean, you pick it. He goes, well, I don't have a match for Necro Butcher.
Ooh.
He goes, I don't know if you've wrestled him or not. I was like, I did, but it wasn't like full one-on-one because it was a mini gathering at Insanity Pro Wrestling a couple months before that, and it was a 12-man's fan bring the weapons death match battle royal. And it was me, Necro Butcher, Corporal Robinson, Brandon Prophet, Scotty Vortex, JC Bailey, Hilarious, or Scott, or not Scott, well, not Scott, but Drake Younger, OMG was in there, and we were in the back. I wish I could get my hands. Somebody has these cassettes because they sold them. They sold these video cassettes. I used to have one, and I let a buddy borrow it. Never saw it again, but I know it's out there somewhere. Somebody has this. But in this match, we're in the back, and Necro comes up to me, and it was like, so, Vinny. And he pulls it up, and he's got a guitar, acoustic guitar with tacks in it. I said, yeah, you can hit me with it. He went, really? I go, only if you take me out using the spike. And he goes, you want me to hit you with this? And he goes in the spike. And he got giddy because he was like, it's been years since I've beaten somebody with that. Like, nobody wants me to use that anymore. It's like, well, I do. I like that. And, some people are like, oh, I can't believe he's talking about all this behind the scenes stuff. No. Whatever. Daytime soap operas like to go up and get their awards and talk about their motivation and acting and stuff, and so am I. But so he got all excited. He's like, so all I gotta do is hit you with this, and I just do this. That's cool. I'm like, yeah, that's totally cool. I should have looked at that guitar because it was the guitar was not gimmicked in any way. Still had the supports in it and everything. And they were carpenter tacks that were super glued in place.
Oh shit!
And the match starts off with just me and Brandon Prophet. And we're doing chain wrestling because Brandon Prophet's trying to do the whole, at the time Mick Foley and ECW getting all the hardcore nuts mad by not doing hardcore. And so we're doing that. The Corporal comes out, finally brings out a weapon. We're rolling around, smashing each other with stuff. And I remember getting hit in the head twice with a thumbtack bat. I had what they called the silver yarmulke because it was nothing but tacks up here. And as I'm slowly trying to pick them out and taking my breather, this Vortex comes out with a 2x4, probably about a good 4 feet long, and just throws it straight down on my head and snaps it over my head. Ooh. And then I go like this, and I feel that there's no way I can use my fingernails to pull anything out. So I was like, okay, screw that. And I get a spot over on this one guy, Skip Radisson. And as I'm beating on him, I get hit from behind by Drake Younger. I go down. JC Bailey comes up to do the nut shot spot with a barbed wire bat, and he keeps yelling, I need you to trust me. And I was like, I trust you. Shut up. The fans can hear this. So he does it. And the first time he does it, he flat out, hits the floor. And I was like, oh, come on. And so the second time he blasts me. And I was like, all right, cool. And so we're getting ready for the spot because we know who's going out in what order. And so I want, but the three before me were supposed to be like, bam, a good like 2-3 minutes, bam, another good 2-3 minutes. But it just went boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready because Necro's on the other side. And so I have to suddenly stagger really fast to get around to him. And he goes, you ready? And I was like, yeah, might as well. And I slowly get up. And I do the same thing that you see in this match because I'm like, I don't want to stand straight up because then it's like, if you're getting the holy kicked out of you, you don't want to suddenly be like, hey, and then get hit because then it's like, what, you got that second breather just to take that on the noggin. No. So I always do that, then take it. And he just completely used my head to impale that guitar and just completely went nuts. And I had pieces of the guitar stuck to my head because it was really, I don't know what they used. Maybe it was like V300 or V600, like super glue, because I had the guitar was actually still stuck on my head at different points. And he's trying to pull the guitar off of my head. And he finally does and puts the spike on. And so I didn't, and they're like, oh, he's out. And so I was the only person that wasn't pinned. And the match was like, yeah, they had to knock me out. And it was I go to the back, and it was like Darhard Dustin Lee was there, and he was like, "Oh, you got messed up, man. How does that feel?" And I started skipping around. I was like, "Oh, I feel great. I feel good." I was like, you guys are wusses." And just like, because I wasn't. He was one of the people that said, "You can't handle death matches." I was like, "Yes, I can." I was so full of adrenaline, and there was like 2-3 weeks after that match where I'm sitting there going in the shower, going, "What is that?" And slowly pulling out a piece of tack that lost the head of it, or that had a staple in my hair. And I still remember that night looking down we're at Waffle Steak, and I'm looking down going, "I didn't order ketchup in my steak." Ah, shoot.
Oh, that's
well worth the $40,
yeah. So you were picking out tacks out of your head, and what happened?
Oh yeah, I had to have. Well, that was later on in the shower and stuff, man. Like weeks later, I'm having staples and random bits. Like my skin is finally rejecting it, because I'd be like, "What is that zit?" And I go to pop it, and it's like the tip of a thumbtack. I'm like, "Oh," because that night I had the EMTs were using screwdrivers and needle nose pliers trying to take everything out of my head. And I think it was one of the EMTs. His name was like Rodney or something like that. He goes, "I am currently on staple number 14 and tack number 30. Like he was telling me how much he was taking out of my arms and my back and shoulders, head, neck. I had a tack that was up in the side of my nose. No idea how that happened. But, and I was just like, yeah, I was like, well, just come on. The show ends soon. I want to see the finish. And I never got to see the finish until the tape. But yeah, so we're going through, but now we're going to go back to this guy wanting to book the show, because he asked me about Necro Butcher, because one of the tapes that I gave him had that match in it. So he goes, "Well, I know you can take a beating, so let's do this." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll take the booking." So he's making a big deal about the booking, telling me, "Yeah, it's done, it's set, we're going to do this." What he doesn't do is he doesn't tell the guy, the booker, the guy that's looking at the roster and paying the roster, that this match is supposed to happen. And so we go up, we set up the ring, and I was like, "Okay, so when am I supposed to be going on? I don't see my name on the card." And the big dude is sitting there, and he's like, "Well, I didn't know you're supposed to be wrestling." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "He's been the other guy that's your buddy's been talking about, he's the one that asked me to do this and stuff." He goes, "Oh, well." So they go and they deliberate for a good like 5 minutes. He's like, "Okay, fine. We're going to give you first match out. We're going to do a squash match. You and Necro." I was like, "Cool." And then 5 minutes later, like, "Well, Diamond Dog's here. We're going to bring him in too. Necro's going to come and squash you and Diamond Dog." I was like, "Okay." And in my head, it doesn't make sense, because Diamond Dog was already well known as a deathmatch wrestler, can take his own. Went up against Corporal Robinson, Brandon Prov, and all these people, and never, he didn't shy away or get completely beaten up. So I'm like, why is it suddenly going to be a squash on him?
Yeah,
because well, that doesn't make sense. And even Necro's like, "Well, that doesn't make sense." He goes, "I've wrestled before, and we don't squash."
yeah.
So we sit down with Necro, and he goes, "Look, this is what we're going to do." And he was like, he wants a squash. I don't want to do a squash. He's like, "It's going to be 2 against 1. He goes, "So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to be beat on one guy. One of you guys gets over a little bit." And so what we decided was, whenever he's beating on Diamond Dog, I'm supposed to take over. I'm the bigger guy. I'm the more ample one. Da 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 da.
Okay.
Cool. And then we're looking at some of the fan brought weapons in the back, and one of the weapons happens to be this ball bat that, when he handed it to me, was super light, and it's wrapped up in blue and white tape. And I'm like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you want to use that?" I was like, "Yeah, you can hit me with it a couple times." Thought nothing of it. Yeah. Nothing of it at all.
Oh God. Oh, dude. That was fun.
I'm gonna do this for the next 10 minutes. Just
so you know who brought it? It wasn't the booker.
Was.
It was the booker. Okay.
We found out not the money guy, but the other guy, because I guess somebody told me that he found out that I made a comment because he wasn't a trained wrestler. But he books himself in the main event, a tag team match with him and his other yardie buddy.
Of course.
Wrestling.
Yep.
So he didn't like the fact, because I guess he went to a JCW show, like a gathering or something like that, and Briar Wellington found out that he can throw his shoulder or his elbow out of socket. So they made him a plant to where he got in the ring, and the guy wrenched him. You'd see his arm suddenly like bend all funny like. So because he had that spot at a JCW show, he's like, "Oh, I'm a wrestler." And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. So when people are like, "Oh yeah, he's going around saying he's a wrestler," I was like, "You just did a spot with Briar Wellington." Like, this that's not, no, he's not trained, you know. And he found out about it and was heated about it. So he brought the bat and basically told Necro, wear him out with this.
What?
Use this on him.
Bro.
But Necro still doesn't understand what's going on. At least this is what I'm being told.
Yeah.
Necro didn't know. Because after the match, Necro even came to me and it's like, dude, I'm sorry. I had no clue. And you know, Necro's one of those guys, sorry about peeling the veil away. I hope nobody's gonna hate me too much for this. From bell to bell, and Too Tough Tony actually said this and told me this first time. He goes, from bell to bell, you fight for your life when you go against the Necro Butcher.
Hell yeah, man.
When the match is not going on, he was one of the coolest people to hang around. And this is I'm talking about Necro Butcher back in the 2000s.
Oh yeah,
you know, before cancer,
wild back then, bro.
You know, before he was taken out by cancer, and then MAGA took over. So it was like. So he was, and you know, we'd be at IPW shows, and he'd be like, "Hey man, what's going on? You want to? Hey," he was living in Indianapolis. "Hey, you want to come on over? I got Killer Instinct. We can smoke some weed and play some Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo." I was like, "No, I'm cool, man. I'm straight edge. I'll come play video games though."
Yeah.
But so that's what they're saying is like, we're going to do this, and he's like, "I want to do the bar fight over here in the crowd," and he goes, "You're going to get a couple spots on me." Someone's like, "Cool." And then I find out right before the match starts, "Oh, we're going to throw this tag team in too to be his buddies." So I was like, okay, so now there's this tag team that's coming in that's going to be his like goons basically. So all this stuff starts getting thrown in, and because even after the match we're in the back, and Necro was like, "I really have no clue about this match," and this match was complete cluster. So, you know, it starts out and we're going over, you know, "Hey, look, the Juggalo's out, da 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 da," you know, slapping fives to people, going around. And originally the match was going to start with me sitting outside. We're going to do it kind of like how him and me were going to tag, and Necro was just in by himself. Well, that got thrown out the door too. It just became a full-on handicap match.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why couldn't you just made it a three-way? You know, at that point,
for real,
it just didn't make sense to me. It's like you could have just done a three-way dance between us.
Yeah.
So his music comes out, boom, head full of steam. Let's do this. Rolls in, just takes the chair, immediately throws it into Diamond Dog. Well, I'm like, because they were like, "You got to get in the ring." And I was like, "Oh," so I'm trying to step in the ring. He gives me the boot and I powder out. Well, now I have this tag team jumping on me. He goes, "Yeah, a lot of things changed in the last 5 minutes, brother." Da 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 da. You know, stomping on me and stuff. I was like, okay. And so he's like, "You're just getting hit with and as they're beating on me, they're telling me, "Look, you're just rolling in. You're getting hit with weapons. You're getting beat the heck up, and then he's going to pin you. It's over." Da 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 da. I was like, "All right, fine, whatever. I don't care. We're in the match. Let's just do it."
Yeah.
So, you know, I go and roll in. He that's when the coal shovel got introduced. Popped me flat on my back, popped me flat on my chest. That was when I believe the first thing happened, because I immediately felt like a stitch on my rib on my left side. So I was like, "Oh, that was a little too sharp," you know. And so went back out. They're stomping on me. Now at this point, he just used the prosthetic leg or the leg brace on Diamond Dog. Boom. Okay. Then he grabbed a plastic dartboard and went to throw it. And when he did, you see that skip off Diamond Dog and just shoot out into the crowd.
Yeah.
And I believe, because I remember one of the tag team members went, "Oh, it hit a little kid," and
Necro.
And I guess it skipped off and just went out to the crowd and like popped a kid in like his shoulder or something like that. So I was like, "Oh, good." Because that's what you want to happen. Family fun for everyone.
Oh yeah.
So then we're like, okay, we're going to set up the bat. Well, originally the bat was just supposed to be used on me, but Diamond Dog's getting up now, and Necro's got the bat. So Necro, just like we said, when we're in the back, we thought it was probably like a plastic hard foam bat or something like this.
Yeah.
So Necro winds back and just takes a swing.
Dude, he hit you so hard, bro.
Well, no, I'm talking about with Diamond Dog. This is before me.
Yeah.
This is Diamond Dog. He baseball swings at Diamond Dog's head. And Dog just luckily enough ducks, but when he does, Necro still clips this part of his head.
I was gonna ask you if that connected. I couldn't tell if it connected.
Just got him. Like
it looked like it,
you know, instead of blasting him like this, when he bent down, he hit him like right there. Because you'll see afterwards, after what happens, he goes to out behind the crowd where he has the coal shovel, and he goes to hit Diamond Dog, and you'll see Diamond Dog holding the back of his head, and he's just gushing blood out the back. So he hit him hard enough to split the back of his head open. I believe he ended up having to get like 8 stitches. for it.
Damn.
Like it got him good. But yeah, so he gets hit. He goes out. Now this spot we actually talk because I'm going to start hitting on him and stuff. Low blows me with the bat, smacks me in the back, and so I'm ready for it. Okay, club. Low blows. I go down. When he hits me, I hear, and you can hear it too.
Oh,
with
you
that
heard
footage, you can still hear that slap.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being ready for it, and I didn't even exactly feel it. All I know is my legs fell out from under me.
Ooh.
And I'm laying there, and my legs from the lower part of my back, my hips, my butt, my groin, my knees, my feet, my toes are vibrating pins and needles.
Oh God, dude.
And I'm like, oh, that's not cool.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm just laying there. And so I'm thinking about that, and I was supposed to roll out of the ring, and I hadn't yet. So Necro sees that I haven't rolled out. Necro's in deathmatch mode.
Oh God.
So bam, right in the chest. And that's when he hit me right about here.
Yeah.
And that was the second break. Then he hits me again. I went, oh, Jesus, protect yourself. Get out. So then he starts hitting me in my arm. And then when I roll over, he, does like the golf swing to my back. Yeah, I mean, it was the exact same feeling like, if you're sitting for like you're in the movies with your girlfriend or your wife and you got your arm around her.
Yeah.
For so long, and then she has to get up to pee because she's not interested in it, and then your arm drops and you're just sitting here like the whole time like, oh my God, is this am I gonna have to get it cut off? Like it's that thought process, I'm like, my legs, I can't feel them, it's just pins and needles. I can't get up. So when he starts hitting me, you'll notice like I'm not really moving my legs that much. I'm just going, ugh. Like I'm using my arms to throw myself over to get out of that ring. But yeah, so I finally flop myself out of the ring, and he's like, okay, well, let me get out. And he tosses the bat down. He grabs the coal shovel and goes around. Now, as that's happening, I have the tag team going up to me going, oh man, he effed you up. Da, da, da. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And I'm looking down and my arm's starting to turn bright red. My forearm is. And that's when in the video you see him go around to hit Diamond Dawg, and Diamond Dawg's just gushing blood out of this part, like his hands on there. You just see the blood running down his neck. That wasn't, he didn't gig, he didn't gimmick, he didn't try to get colored. That was real. That was the ball bat splitting his skin open. And because in my head I'm like, he ducked. How did that get it? But it's like when he ducked, it caught him. That ridge in the back of your head right here.
Yep.
That's right where it caught it. Right there as he was bending down.
That's right. So, it's pretty soft on the back of your head too, right there. Fucking like.
So yeah, he runs over and does a gut check with the handle of the shovel, and he doesn't even sell it because he's sitting there going, "I'm dying," So understandable. I got hit in the head with a ball bat. I'm gushing blood. I have no idea of time. So he does that, and now he's coming over to me, and at this point, he comes and he goes, your turn. And I was like, oh, okay. So I do a quick nut shot to him. I get up, and that's when I just pick him up and I do the stalling suplex outside, and you hear that crash onto the floor,
Yeah.
And he hit it, and he, as soon as I hit it, he goes, that was beautiful. So I'm like, all right. And he goes, your time to shine. Let's do this. Yeah. So I was like, so in my head, I'm like, oh, he's actually going to give me my offense. Now, for this part, it's supposed to be, I grab the shovel, do the spots with the shovel, toss the shovel back in the ring. I pick him up. We go sit down and we start, bar fighting. And eventually he'll take it back over and go on with the rest of the weaponry. So I'm like, okay, I'm down for this because I'm supposed to get him in the bar fight. And then he's going to get back over on me. Well, you see the shovel shots, big old pop. With the shovel, very loud, and I, because at the time I'm still like, well, I don't want to hit him too hard. He's like, do it. And I was like, man, after feeling that with that bat, okay,
that's how he was back then.
And I wasn't supposed to hit him in the head, but I think what it was he. Part of me wants to believe that he kind of felt bad for what happened because it was supposed to be like back, chest, and that's it. But he gets up. And I go to hit him in the gut because I was supposed to hit him in the gut and he was going to go back and I was going to go pop on his chest. But instead he goes, he signals, hit me in the head.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, brought that sucker down. And he said, he was like, I kind of saw stars on that one. And it did. Like, I hit him and it rocked the
Dude,
shovel
yeah, you fucking
sideways.
rocked him, bro.
And so, okay, now at that point, I go, I toss it into the ring, and I'm supposed to, get the fans going, grab them, bring them to the chairs. Instead, turn around, super kick. One of the tag team guys cuts me off. I take the super kick, I go down. He goes, "No, you're not supposed." And he goes, "You're not supposed to get shine."
Oh wow.
And so I was like, man,
Yeah.
And at the time, but see, the thing too was when I was doing those shots with the shovel, bringing it down, all of my strength is in my left hand, dropping it, and I'm just barely holding on to it with my right arm. I'm right-handed because the whole time it just felt like this pulsating is coming from my forearm, and it's pulsating, and just bringing it up and trying to use it just hurts so bad. Dude. So it's like, I'm doing stuff left-handed. It's just the right hand's there for the ride. It was like the UK in World War II. It's like, hey, we're just here. Yeah. So yeah, and that's why because he was even like, what happened when he was going to get me up and working me? What happened? I was like, just let's finish it. And so that's when, I love it too. He starts using the shoe because this is right around the time when he decides he's going to stop wearing shoes and boots.
Yeah. Yeah, he starts hitting you with the shoe.
Well, from what I believe was what originally happened was he had gotten an injury to his foot, and it was just super uncomfortable to wear boots.
Oh, wow.
And then it got to the point where it was super uncomfortable just to wear shoes. So he just said, screw it. I'm just going to go barefoot. So he had his shoe off, and he's like slapping me with the shoe. And even though I'm selling it, I'm giggling because I think it's funny because I'm like, in my head is like the Austin Powers. Who throws a shoe anyway?
Yeah.
So he's sitting there blasting me. And I said, let's go back to my camera. Because he hits me the one time, then he takes me on the other side. And we were going to go that way. I was like, I want to get shot. So that's when he comes up to the camera and he, boom, slaps me. I was like, I said, that would be such a good, just a shot of like a little clip show. Him just, here's the shoe. Bam.
Oh, yeah.
And so he works me with the shoe all the way over to the other side. And that's where he was going to use the car rim. And he was like, we'll use this block instead. But the block he uses is like a 10 by 10 wooden block.
Yeah.
That was outside in the parking lot. It was like used to make sure cars wouldn't go too far. Because this was over here at German Park. German Park was the last location of Prince of the Death matches for IWA Mid-South that Carver won.
Huh.
So, it was the last known place of the King of the Death matches. I think they did the Queen of the Death match and Prince of the Death matches. All that was there. And that was the final death match tournaments for like IWA because, they ended up canceling. I think, was it Double Death they ended up canceling? Either way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, but still, did I actually swear?
Oh, no.
I left out the F and brought in the CK. That's how you do things. Change it up a little bit. But, so yeah, we were there, and so we do the spot. He splits my legs up and drops the block down on me, and it looked disgusting because the fans were like, we were so certain that your testicles exploded, but he only hit me like right in my thigh meat. And then he was like, "What else do you want to do?" I was like, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" He goes, "Let's just take it home." So then he picks me up, rolls me into the ring, and the chair shot. And then the funny thing is, I'm like, when he's coming up with the chair, I'm like, really? I just got hit with a ball bat and a coal shovel, shoe, and a big wooden block, and he's like, "It's the chair that's going to do me in." And
Necro can swing a chair, man.
But hey, I did. I rose up, took it, and he when he went to pin me, he just went, "All right, brother, we're done." And he goes for the pin, 1, 2, 3, and like the video cuts off. But it's like I remember after that. My leg went down, he's being raised, and I always did the joke back in the day where I was a huge fan of King Kong Bundy, and what you don't see is well after the 3 count happened, we're laying there, I go, and I throw a shoulder up.
Really?
And they're like, and the ref goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, I thought this was to 5. I thought we were doing a 5 count. So I told the referee I was waiting for 5 to come the pin so I could kick out. I was like, I was going to kick out on 4. I swear to God.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have seen that. I wish my buddy would have kept recording, because you would have just seen me go
Oh.
just randomly. And it was like, and the funny thing was, I'm laying there like, dude, and it wasn't the referee, it was one of the other, it was the main booker guy, the money guy, walks over to the neighbor and goes, dude, get up and go. And I'm like, why? I just had the Necro Butcher beat me with a ball bat and his shoe and a board. He used all this on me, and you're just expecting me just to get up and limp away a little bit. I was like, I should be carried out of this ring.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm like, if I put my opponent through that much of a beating, and then not even 2 minutes later, they're getting up going, oh, well, cheer for me. I go right back out there and be like, where's that ball bat?
Hell yeah.
After all I did, you're going to hop up. Let's sell. let's have a quick study in selling. So they finally convinced a referee to come and help me out to the back. I even had like a fan or two were like, oh man, I got you. And got the little, the parting gift, the gamer show, the parting gift. It's like, oh, good job. I was like, oh, shut up. you guys knew, because I was even high-fiving people. I was like, I'm going to die. I was telling people, if you guys are rooting for me, just go ahead and stop at the beginning of the match. I was like, what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I get to the back, and Necro gives me a quick little hug, and he was like, hey man, good match, man, sorry about everything that happened. I was like, it's wrestling, it's what do you expect, and it was like, man, that was sick, and the one promoter that was like, that got me the match, oh man, hey, good job, and then like walked away, and then he wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the night. Well, we're sitting there and they're bringing the weapons back, and that's when Necro walks over and grabs the bat, because I said, dude, you hit me with the bat, and my legs went out from me. I said, I don't know what happened. I don't know if you just happened to hit a nerve.
Yeah.
And so that happened. We grab the bat and we start to peel some of the tape off of it, and that's when we noticed there was a hole at the top of the bat.
Fuck.
And we're like, oh, so we keep peeling it off, and we're like, and I'm tink, tink, we're hitting the concrete ground with it. Tink, tink. We're like, this is wood, and we're still peeling off, and it's a genuine Louisville Slugger that somebody had taken like a drill to or something and drilled out about this far down into the bat and hollowed it out.
So that thing was probably light as hell.
Made it super light. So for us, and they taped it all up completely. So when we had it, we thought it was like just like a kind of like a hardish foam plastic bat. It didn't weigh anything,
dude.
And so he goes, and he's like, and Necro's like, dude, Vinny, I'm sorry. I was like, hey man, you didn't know,
Yeah.
We didn't know. We didn't know.
Real.
And, we let that go. Everything was okay. The one guy wanted to take pictures of me, so I went out there, and that was when I wish. Like, I even went on archive.org and used the Wayback Machine to go to the Carnival Extreme Wrestling website and try to find the picture. The only picture that shows up is the one where I'm knelt down like this. Because he wanted me to do like an on my knee shot. But then I was like, well, back in the day, I would take my hands, go like this, and hold them in front of me to form a V. But when I did that, you would see this forearm compared to this one. This one was bright red and like Popeye compared to this forearm. It was gross. And I wasn't, when I looked at it, he was here, let's go to the viewfinder. Because back then we didn't have, the advanced cell phones. We had like the little digital cameras. So I looked at it and went, oh my God. And that's when I really looked down and saw how big my arm was.
Dude.
I was like, oh. And my arm is still pretty much shot. It's not, and I still had to help tear down the ring, which I still do. You just, everybody's like, oh, well, you'll pay your dues eventually. I was like, no, you show up early, you help set up. I still set up chairs, help with the ring. It's just what you do. You want to have a good show. You want to let people know that you're involved all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, and I'm like, I finally went, I haven't been paid yet. And the guy goes, well, I didn't know you were working. I was like, dude, he goes, I just had to shell out. And he looks at me, he told me what he just had to pay. He's like, I just had to pay Corporal Robinson $400 and Too Tough Tony $250 and Necro Butcher $300. And I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I remember the day when, some of the promoters were like, well, Necro Butcher worked for $30 and a dime bag.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and they're like, it was cool, man, it's whatever. And like I remember when Too Tough Tony and Corporal Robinson were only like $125 at this one show, but then they convinced a fan that had money, as they call marks with money.
Yep.
So he's shelling out big bucks, and he's like, I don't have anything. And I was like, no, I'm not leaving until you pay me something. I don't care. Pay me something. Reach in your pocket, put something in my hand.
Yep.
I said, I was like, I'll break my other arm on you. I don't care.
Hell yeah.
He reaches in his pocket and pulls out just this handful of change, goes here, and just drops it in my. And it's just quarters, nickels, dimes. And I looked at it and it was like $5.23. And I was like, I don't care. I got paid. Fine, whatever. And now I have a fun story to tell. But the good news is, I got paid better in all my other shows to where it wasn't just a handful of change and good stories. It's like, fine, I'll let this be an okay story and a handful of change, but next time just pay.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the guy was taken advantage of. But it was from what I then heard later on was that the one guy was the one starting to offer them that kind of money.
Oh, really?
He wasn't telling the money backer. So it was like, so this guy is like coming to him like, hey, where's my 400? Hey, where's my 300? Oh, well, here. And then other wrestlers are coming up going, so where's our pay? Well, I just had to, like, if you're the one paying the money, you need to know how much everything is beforehand. So you have that amount.
You pulled an Ian Rock.
It's like that's shindy wrestling right there. Don't be a shindy wrestling league,
Exactly,
don't be a shitty promotion. Oh, I didn't realize you were going to be that much. I was like, well, that's why you talk to the wrestler. There should never be a middleman when it comes to getting paid. You find out who has the money and you find that guy and you say, this is what I need. And they didn't have that. So that was a cluster. The match, a bunch of other matches were little bits of cluster here and there. They would change it last minute and stuff. It was just rough to watch.
Yeah.
And I was also half in and out of it the whole time. So they're going, my arm. Why did I fart or poop? I don't know. So there, everybody's like, why does he keep checking his pants? I just need to know, Mom. Because it's 2004, so I'm like 22 at the time, scared to death.
Dude,
I'm such a little kid. I don't know. Where's my mom? Well, she don't want to come see me get my butt kicked. Yeah, you don't pay attention to watch my son get murdered in front of me.
Yeah. So did you go to the hospital after?
Not yet.
No?
No, well, I was like, I'll sleep it off. Maybe my arm will go down. Then the next day it was even bigger. And I'm like, all right, well, I think I need to go get this locked.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to my hometown's hospital, and I was like, yeah, I got hit in my arm a couple times with a ball bat. And they're like, where? And I was like, wrestling show. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah. Where? And so I had to give them a website, and they're like, the doctors were actually looking up to make sure it was a legitimate thing, like I didn't get in like some gang fight or something like that. I was like, no, I told the guy to hit me with.
Huh? That's interesting.
It's one of my favorite things. People arguing about UFC and pro wrestling. They're like, oh, well, pro wrestling is so much weaker than UFC. I was like, well,
so crazy when people say that.
So if you're in a cage fighting me and I come at you with my fist to drill in or lose. So I ended up getting looked at, and I had it's like 3 or 4 hairline fractures throughout both bones in my forearm. I had a cracked rib here, broken rib here, and then one on my back, and then lower part of my spine, probably. Oh gosh, I don't know which number it was, like 6 or 7, but 2 chipped vertebrae from it.
God damn.
And he only and it was that initial slap hit me right in between 2 of the vertebrae, and it chipped both of them.
Oh, I believe it.
And they're like, you're probably gonna be in a wheelchair soon. Well, I turned 40 last year, and I'm still on my feet.
Good shit, brother. I'm happy to
knock
hear
on wood. Knock on wood, man.
Hell yeah, man.
But yeah, like after that, I probably did about another 20, 25 or so death matches. And just kind of was like, I'm done. I was like, man, I was like, yeah, I can. Like, I went through that 8-year hiatus, came back. Gary from AWR hit me up, finally offered me a match. I did the door match with Justin Kyle, and I was like, okay, I can feel this. I think I'm coming back. And then I watched John Wayne Murdoch, Dale Patricks, and Akira.
Nice.
And I watched Akira bite. They did it where Dale Patricks would make people eat his butt.
Yeah,
where he would pull it. Yeah, Akira bit it, sucked blood out, and red misted Murdoch in the face. Cover that match.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up.
And I saw that, and that's when I went home after that, and I did a public announcement that I am retiring. Deathmatch wrestling. I don't want to have to suck blood out of anybody's extremities, nor have any orifices shoved in my face against my will. But yeah, and that's the way I see it, is like deathmatch wrestling back in the day. You got to remember, the first death match there was the Texas death match, and it really wasn't even bloody. The whole idea with a death match was basically what they see now in like a last man standing match. Yeah, you either make them submit or you pin them, and then they have to answer a 10 count. So back in the day, it didn't matter if they bled or not; it was still considered a death match. Well, then blood started getting used. You had first blood matches, you had the cage matches and whatnot. And we're still at the time where you could have a death match and little to no blood still gets spilled sometimes. But now when you hear death match, they're wanting chunks of meat hanging off of you.
It's getting wild, dude.
And you're seeing some of these people, sacrificing themselves to where, and see, that's the scary thing too. You see a lot of the deathmatch wrestlers' lives are shorter. And it's like, it's a scary thought because, you're seeing them, they look like Supermen with everything that they're putting onto their bodies and their opponents. Yep. And then they're wrestling the next day. Neil Diamond Cutter he had a broken bone in his arm, but he had to wrestle the next day at H2O against was Toshihiro Sakura. And I had to watch it because I made his mask.
Yeah. His
mask came out with. And now it's in Japan,
I saw that GoFundMe for his arm, And
if the GoFundMe is still going out when this video is out, if anybody's watching this, like, this is the best. This is one of the other ways you can show your love and support for deathmatch wrestling. Is if they have something like this happen to them, now is the time. Now is not the time to have short arms and deep pockets, as they say. Show your love and support for these people putting their lives, bodies, and souls on the line, and give them, because you guys are the ones craving for it. Because in my head, some of the stuff they do is not worth $20 a ticket.
It's not, bro. It's really not.
They're going so far in some of the stuff that you are potentially watching a public execution nowadays.
It's true.
So. Dude. It's scary. So it's like, just a ticket and a t-shirt. Sometimes that ain't enough, because a lot of these wrestlers, when they're depending on pro wrestling, paying the bills, they don't have insurance. You know, how many times have you seen in WWE wrestlers not having insurance? They get injured and they're like, okay, you're out. They cut their contract short, and now they're in the independents, wrestling, 5 and dime independent shows so that they can try to take care of medical bills. They don't even. But in Indiana, it doesn't mess with your credit if you decide not to pay. So,
hey. Can you remember your medical bills from that match?
Alone, just for them looking at, like, the funny thing was, since they were hairline fractures, they only put a splint on it. The broken ribs, they're like, hey, just don't breathe too deep and don't lift anything heavy. And my back, they're like, your back's chipped. We don't know what to do.
Fuck, man.
So, but just an imaging that they did was it ran about $17,000 for all of that, because they had to run MRIs, CTs, and all that. And I went, cool.
And he gave you fucking change for pay. That's crazy, man.
But at the same time,
man.
This is what I'm going to say. There were some wrestlers that walked out that night with no pay whatsoever. And I put and they're like, oh, it's only $5. But it was an integrity thing. I got paid something. But there's some wrestlers that went, hey, I can't afford it. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, I stood my ground. I was like, you're going to give me something. You're going to reach in your pocket and give me something.
Good
And he
shit.
did. And I was like, fine. My net worth for tonight, $5.23. I don't care because I still walked out with more than other people did, you know?
Hell
So,
yeah.
and that's crazy because then you're seeing some of these wrestlers, you know, they're making, they're bigger names than I am. And I still remember going, you were the ones that were walking out with your heads down,
Yeah.
you know, didn't even get the hot dog and handshake, you know, and I didn't get the hot dog. I got the walking taco.
If you guys ever need a mask like the one behind him, definitely hit him up. I put a link in the description. He made the mask that Neil Diamond Cutter wore on his way to the ring in his match with Sakuda at H2O's Hustle and Gold. You could see a good shot of the mask in this camera angle. The things are fucking sick. Neil Diamond Cutter is so awesome, he wrestled the match with a broken arm. I highly suggest checking out the full interview with Vinny Rattlocke. It was very interesting and we really chopped it up. The man is very passionate about deathmatch wrestling just like us, and he proves it in the interview. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed that brutal ass match. Vinny is such a nice guy, and I'm so lucky that he hit me up with this match. And you have to give Vinny some credit. He picked up Necro with broken ribs, a broken arm, and chipped vertebrae. I just had to show you guys this sick ass rare incident. And like we said, this was not Necro Butcher's fault. This was just another crazy ass incident in pro wrestling. Whoever that promoter is that drilled the hole in the bat is a fucking asshole. That shit literally chipped his vertebrae. He could have got fucking paralyzed if it hit him in the wrong spot. I asked Vinny how long he took off wrestling because of this match, and he said he was wrestling the next weekend. He didn't take any time off. He's nuts. Like I had on the screen during the interview, if you have any of the old IPW shows, please send them to me. Also, what the fuck happened to my audience? Only 16% of you motherfuckers are subscribed. What the fuck is going on? Take your finger out of your fucking ass crack and hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to see some more deathmatch content, check out my second channel, Blako5612. You can also follow me on Instagram for sick deathmatch clips at Blako561_. If you guys would like to find me on Twitch, Twitter, or TikTok, look up Blako561. There's a link to all my social media in the description where you can hit me up. And if you guys would like to see Discord exclusive matches and talk about death matches or any crazy shit, head to my Discord. There's a link in the description below as well. If you guys would like to see the full interview with Vinny, head to patreon.com/Blako561. I highly suggest checking it out. The dude's very intelligent and we had a great conversation. Patreon is a great way to show support because YouTube completely demonetized my channel. You have to type it into your browser like I'm showing on the screen because it doesn't come up on the app. On January 21st, me and my old man flew up to New Jersey to see XPW's We Are Not Your Kind. The show was so awesome, we had a great fucking time, and we even saw
the Nigga Taker.
I shot the full show in 4K. The footage is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Earlier in the night, Drake and Big fucking Joe had the death match of the year so far. Dude, they went through so much fucking glass. Also, JJ Escobar had a sick match with Kurt Bale and Charlie Bonifer where they literally went fucking nuts. In the main event, we saw Schlack versus Necro 3 where they brawled all over the arena. I got some sick fucking footage of Schlack stabbing Necro in the face with a syringe in the crowd. The men started fighting in the ring on the exposed canvas and Necro got shredded by the barbed wire. Necro started fucking leaking, bro. Look at all the blood coming off his head. Not only can you watch that full show from the Blako cam, but you could also watch No Peace Underground Samsara. We saw a Devil's Big Red Dick match from Marcus Crane. Death matches are finally back in Florida. I'm so fucking hyped. AJ Gray and Madman Pondo had a great death match with a shitload of light tubes and panes of glass. And don't even get me started on JJ's Open Challenge. This dude has literal balls of steel. Check this out. We even got to see my little bro Gator in action.
This night is for the fucking boys!
We saw a 6-person death match in the main event. It was fucking awesome. I was going nuts for tubes.
Light tubes! Light tubes! Yeah!
Both shows are available in 4K from the Blako Cam at patreon.com/Blako561. Next No Peace Underground show of Omen and Doom will take place on February 26th in Orlando, Florida. You guys should definitely slide through and come say what's up to the youngin'. Tickets are available now, link in the description. My little bro Gator that came out with JJ Allen gave me his stunt DVD called Garbage. The video is fucking insane. It's going right up on the Patreon. Speaking of t-shirts, Vinny Rattlocke actually made t-shirts and stickers for the release of this match. He included a quote from the interview and put a coal shovel, a shoe, and a plastic bat with blue and white for the tape on it. There's a link to the t-shirt and stickers on Brainbuster Tees and a link to Vinny's Twitch in the description. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave a comment below and I'll be choosing one lucky person for a free t-shirt. Speaking of giving away t-shirts, I chose another lucky Patreon family member to win the Tournament of Death 19 shirt. So, Isaac Birdsong, you have won the shirt. I went ahead and sent you a message on Patreon, open that up and send me your address for the shirt. Next, I'll be giving out an XPW We Are Not Your Kind shirt. Sign up to patreon.com/Blako561 for a chance to win a giveaway. That leaves me at my special thank you and major shout out to my Patreon family. That's Wolfie Kohaku, Garrett McNulty, Matt Watts, Logan Flanagan, Thomas Sanchez, It's Stuck Sandwich Film, CL Vision, Crashy, Benjamin Ailing, CEO, Dylan Petrocelli, Yogi Dick, Jeremy McNarly, Martin Guerrero, Jake Steele, Calculating Infinity Baker, David R, Chris Graham, KJR, Derek, Silent Enigma, Hizzle Bizzle, Orion Bailey, Hollow Point, my new best friend Christian, Stuart McFerrin, Alex Byrne Tattoos, Tracy Warrope, Trav, Brian Wargotch, Josh Shaler, MP Mandu, Christopher Perellas, Dylan Mullins, For the Boys, Crack Yo, John Botterio, Diego Ortiz, Chase Wolf, Brian Colville, Standigan, Eamon, Shane Morgan, Mr. Tobias, Nick Normal, UILNR, Patty Von Clambit, Furos, Bong Studley, Isaac Birdsong, Grave Memories, Joe Plaxkowski, Guavion, CJ Dickmeyer, Marcus Martin, Desundre 419, Egotist, Wayne Conway, Coma Kid, Garrett Ramey, Van Murphy, Joshua Reisick, Twisted Insane, Dan Hannix, D's Nuts, The Whoremaster. And as always, I can't forget the second page hitters. We got Andy A, Michael Perry, Zay, Sean Osmond, Dime Sack, Rick Styles, Terry Willard, Insane Messiah, LB Forever, Matthew McAllister, Alexander Bat, Legend 22, Kelly Miller, Liam 26, Daniel Smith, Eric Buduin, PD Pork Pampuro, Trevor Mills, Thick Pickles, Josh Anderson, Jordan Johnson, Just Chris, Titus Thompson, Mick Phip, Yuki Noise, Sment, Ryan Lewis Edwards, Tyler Drunk Adam, Gage Gwynn, Blake Sullivan, Spoobini, Quandel Dingle, Rodolfo Rivas, Ryan Bodie, Richard Hutchings, Daniel Gildia, Jeff Bellafuele, Tio Valdi, Toxic D Glover, Ephraim Neves, Jeff Diaz, Andrew Francis, Snovex, Corshill Shreds, Caustic Grip, James Rowney, Frank Baker, Ryan Dunn, Patrick, MXLK, Andrew Lewis, Arrowboy 2, Daniel J. Sherritt, Keyless Talea, and last but not least, Zach Jordan. This is my Patreon family that I love so fucking much, and if you say one word about them, I'll go fucking Chris Benoit on your ass, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.